You ever notice how some people can turn "what do you want for dinner" into a full existential crisis? Like you've just asked them to choose the meaning of life itself. They're standing there, staring into the distance, and you're thinking, it's literally just food, but here's the thing. That pause isn't indecision. It's depth. And if you're someone who does this, or if you know someone who does, you're about to understand why their brain works completely differently than most people's. Because deep thinkers aren't just people who think a lot. They're wired differently. And there are actually 3 distinct types. 3 completely different ways a mind can go deep. And once you understand which type you are, or which type someone in your life is, suddenly all those weird behaviors, all those long silences, all those random 2 a.m. texts start to make perfect sense. So let's break it down. Because chances are, you're one of these 3. And if you're not, you definitely love someone who is. The first type is the silent observer. You know this person. They're in the group chat, but they barely type. They're at the dinner table, but they haven't said a word in 20 minutes. Everyone assumes they're shy, or quiet, or maybe even bored. But that's not what's happening. What's actually happening is they're reading the room like it's a novel. They noticed when your voice changed. They saw the micro-expression you made when someone brought up your job. They clocked the tension between those 2 people across the table before anyone else even sensed it. They're not quiet because they have nothing to say. They're quiet because they're too busy downloading everyone's emotional data. Psychologically, this is high-trait empathy combined with intense pattern recognition. Their brain is essentially running facial recognition software on everyone's emotions. They pick up on things most people completely miss. The slight hesitation before you answered a question. The way someone's smile didn't reach their eyes. The shift in energy when a certain topic came up. And while everyone else is talking, they're connecting dots, building psychological profiles, understanding the subtext of every interaction. The thing is, this is exhausting. Because they're absorbing everyone's energy, all the time. They feel the room before they even enter it. And a lot of the time, they don't share what they notice because most people aren't ready to hear it. Imagine seeing through everyone's performance, their masks, their carefully constructed social facade, and just sitting there with all that information, knowing that if you said it out loud, it'd make things weird. So they stay quiet. They observe. They process. And they store it all away. If you're this type, people have probably told you you're too intense, or you think too much, or why are you so quiet? And the truth is, you're not being weird. You're just operating on a different frequency. You see what others don't. And that's not a flaw. That's a superpower. It just comes with a cost, but then there's the second type. And this one hits different, because it's not about observing the outside world. It's about spiraling inward. This is the overthinker's overthinker. The person who sent you a text 4 days ago that said, "Hey, how are you?" and you replied, "Good." And they've been analyzing that response ever since. They're wondering if good means actually good, or politely good, or are you upset and just being distant? Did they do something wrong? Should they follow up? Or would that seem desperate? Maybe they should wait. But what if waiting makes it worse? And now it's 3 a.m. and they're staring at the ceiling reconstructing your entire friendship timeline trying to figure out if everything's okay. This is called rumination. And it's not just overthinking. It's a loop. Their brain gets stuck trying to solve problems that don't have clear answers. Because human behavior is messy. People are inconsistent. Not everything means something. But the overthinker's brain doesn't accept that. It wants clarity. It wants certainty. It wants to know, definitively, what you meant, how you feel, where things stand. And because it can't get that certainty, it just keeps running the same scenarios over and over, searching for clues, for patterns, for proof. Psychologically, this is often linked to anxiety and something called intolerance of uncertainty. Their nervous system is basically allergic to ambiguity. So it tries to think its way out of discomfort. The problem is, you can't think your way out of uncertainty. Life is uncertain. People are unpredictable. But their brain hasn't accepted that yet. So it keeps trying. And the more they think, the deeper they spiral, the more exhausted they become, and if you're this type, I need you to hear this. You're not broken. You're not too much. Your brain is just trying to protect you the only way it knows how. It thinks if it can predict everything, control every outcome, understand every possible scenario, then you'll be safe. But safety doesn't come from certainty. It comes from learning to be okay with not knowing. And that's hard. That's really, really hard. But it's possible. Now, the third type. This one's the rarest, and honestly, the most misunderstood. This is the existential wanderer. You ask them how their day was, and somehow, 15 minutes later, you're in a full conversation about whether consciousness is just an illusion and if any of our choices actually matter. They didn't plan this. They didn't mean to derail your small talk. But their brain doesn't do surface level. It physically can't. Every question leads to another question. Every answer opens 10 more doors. And before they know it, they're 3 layers deep into philosophy while you're just standing there like, I literally just asked if you had a good weekend. This is linked to something called the default mode network. It's the part of your brain that activates when you're not focused on a task. When you're daydreaming, reflecting, imagining, wondering. For most people, this network quiets down when they need to focus. But for existential wanderers, it's always humming in the background. Always asking why. Always searching for meaning. Always trying to connect the dots between the mundane and the infinite. They're the ones who stare out the window on a Tuesday afternoon and suddenly feel the weight of their own existence. They're the ones who can't enjoy a sunset without wondering what it means to experience beauty, and whether that even matters in the grand scheme of things. They're the ones who make everything profound, even when they don't mean to, and society doesn't really know what to do with them. Because we live in a world that values productivity, efficiency, surface-level connection. We live in a world that says, don't think too hard, just keep moving. But existential wanderers can't do that. For them, life without meaning is unbearable. So they search. Constantly. And it's lonely. Because most people aren't searching. Most people are fine with the surface. But they can't be. They need depth. They crave it. If you're this type, you've probably been told you're too deep or too philosophical or why can't you just enjoy things? And the answer is, you do enjoy things. You just enjoy them differently. You experience the world on a deeper level. And yes, that means you feel the weight of existence more heavily. But it also means you experience beauty, meaning, and connection in ways most people never will. And that's not something to fix. That's something to honor. So here's the truth. Whichever type you are, you're not overthinking. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're just wired to go deeper. And in a world that celebrates shallow, that's going to feel isolating sometimes. People won't always understand you. They'll tell you to relax, to stop analyzing, to just let things be. But you can't. Because your brain doesn't work that way. And that's okay. The key isn't to stop being a deep thinker. It's to understand your type so you can work with it, not against it. If you're a silent observer, give yourself permission to step back without guilt. You don't owe everyone your insights. If you're an overthinker, practice sitting with uncertainty. Not everything needs to be solved. And if you're an existential wanderer, find your people. The ones who want to go deep with you. They exist. I promise, because here's what nobody tells you. Deep thinking isn't a curse. It's a gift. It's just a gift that comes with weight. And the sooner you stop trying to be like everyone else, the sooner you'll realize that your depth, your sensitivity, your constant need to understand, that's exactly what the world needs more of. So which type are you? The silent observer who sees everything but says little? The overthinker who can't let go of uncertainty? Or the existential wanderer who turns every conversation into a philosophical journey? Drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious, and if this video made you feel seen, like someone finally put words to the way your brain works, then you're probably a deep thinker. Which means you'd probably vibe with the rest of the content on this channel. We talk about human behavior, psychology, and the things that make us who we are. Real talk about how the mind works. So if that sounds like your thing, subscribe. Let's keep going deep together.